Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to the live stream on the 3rd of March. I am joined by Mod Desert, the sand thing.
Yes, sandy one.
The sand one, not desert, commonly mistaken. Mod Nin.
Yep.
I've got Mod Ashes on my left, as well as Mod Sage. Don't confuse that with Sash. Everyone likes good Sash, but that's not.
enough.
It's Sage. It's all about the intonation. We're going to talk a lot about core experience today. And we'll talk a bit about mobile as well as part of that.
You might want to introduce core experience first.
Yes, so that is my question straight away from the get-go. Tell us a bit more about CXP, what does the team do, and why is it different from teams such as episodic content?
I suppose that's me, right? Okay,
Yeah.
fine. So,
I mean, if the others want to say something, I don't mind either.
CXP is another team within RuneScape. Obviously, we have the episodic team as well as the live op team. They both focus on different styles of content. So you may hear us being referred to as CXP, but we are the core experience team.
Yes.
And this allows us to focus on essentially the feel of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So you may have had things before like smooth movement,
Yeah.
things that you would have seen at RuneFest as well, like the client prediction stuff. And it allows us just to essentially work on those kind of improvements to the game and allow the core experience. There you go. You see how that works? To be a lot more, playable, a lot more fun. Hopefully that will.
And a big sticker point of this team is that it's not just content developers. Modsage and I are from the engine team. So we actually have this team where we've got like these two things. And sometimes there's a bit in the middle, in between engine and in between content, where you need people to work together a bit. And that is stuff like the smooth movement, stuff like maybe like interface scaling for 4K. Things like that can kind of come out of.
Yeah, so you both are like, this team is a bit of a bridge between the tech team, the engine team, and the content developers, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
It also allows us to work on mobile, which is the most important thing.
Mobile as well, there's also part, and new player experience. is
And the
also
new
part
player
of it.
experience
So
as well, which is all
it's
part
a
of
whole
it. Yeah,
range
that
of-
whole kind of
Range of
eco bubble system of stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
So all four of you are part of core experience.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the recent updates we've been doing as the core experience team? So you mentioned one smooth movement. I know what Shogun did do the
Daily challenge
daily
rework.
challenge rework, which had a really nice effect on the game. Lots of people liked it, aside from some people that did engineering. I'm sorry.
I was going to have to deal with that.
Yeah, blame
It's
Shogun.
pretty good. It's pretty good. Yes, I also had a haircut for the people that were wondering it. Is it obvious?
Clearly, they've clearly spotted it.
Yeah, it was long overdue. Cool. So one of the things that you already slightly alluded to were all the different tech promo or tech things we showed at RuneFest.
Yep.
So I'd like to go over a couple of these and kind of chat over where we are with those. For those who didn't know that, at RuneFest in October, 7th, 8th of October, at the end of the
something like
RuneScape keynote, we had Mod Pips come out and he started talking about some of the tech prototypes we're doing. From all of those, we still don't know. All of those feasibilities were mainly prototypes, so we were investigating and seeing what was possible, and they were all related, like you said, to like the core feel of the game.
A bit more modernization, essentially.
Modernization, yes, I think that's the right word for that. It's really, really good. So smooth movement.
Yep, that went out.
That went out.
Good.
You worked on that. It was really good.
Yep. Launch was super smooth.
Oh,
As you'd want it to be.
yeah. I was kind of expecting the smooth movement, but it's all right.
There was a small issue with Surge and Escape, but we fixed that now. And
Otherwise, last Monday or the week before that.
Well, the week before that. But otherwise,
I thought you would know that. It's all right.
Otherwise, everything went really well. People seem to like it a lot, so that's good.
That's one.
First one bashed out.
Bam.
Tick.
Done. The clients. The client startup optimization. So these were mainly, you could mainly notice those on mobile.
Yeah, mobile got the main benefit for that,
So
which was essentially
it was
better
the
caching.
Launcher.
Yeah, so it
The
also
launcher
worked
super
on
fast,
desktop. So that was right in the past, at least for my personal experience. If I was playing on mobile on my relatively old phone, it would take about 2 minutes to load up RuneScape, and after they did this optimization. It only takes like 13 seconds, which is a pretty decent improvement, I'd say.
Good improvement.
So that went live around December time as well, I think.
Yeah.
So that's also done. We talked about an upgrade to our rendering system so that we could render more materials.
Yeah, basically the core engine, 10xc client team basically did an excellent job in that, and right now our team is capitalizing on it for archaeology. A lot of the things in archaeology.
It looks really nice.
So you used, I think in Farming and Herblore there were like a couple of elements that already used
the
it.
start of, basically that's when they started using it, but archaeology uses it much more extensively.
So when archaeology is coming out on the 30th, thank you for allowing me to plug that as well.
It's going to look gorgeous.
It's going to look amazing with this new material system. So stay tuned for that. You've already seen a little bit of a teaser of that last week on the live stream when we had Timbo do a pass over the Everlight. Don't know if you've seen that, but it was pretty good. It was pretty good looking. Cool. We've had that one. Then I would like to move on to the outlining and silhouetting. And for that, I think we're going to show some gameplay.
Something, yeah.
Shall we move to the couch? And then we'll... There we go. We're already seeing a nice GIF on the screen, and I'm going to run now.
Yeah, so I'll just explain briefly while Mod Stage gets set up. This is a character running through the environment, and you can see some things around the character being highlighted in different colors. So you can see the rabbits there are highlighted in red, the NPCs get highlighted in yellow, interactable things get highlighted in blue. And so this is just kind of making things more visible. I'll let Mod Sage explain more.
It's
not very subtle. I was looking at that going, what are we showing? And then I realised what we were talking about. And being like, oh yeah, that's quite subtle.
It's a lot less subtle when you actually have it on the mouse over, because obviously that's just doing it kind of proximity based, highlighting things around you. When you've got it on the mouse over, feels really good.
Yeah.
Thanks for filling this in, boys.
It's all right. You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
You good?
Cool.
Anyway,
we have sound.
So what we're seeing here is highlighting on desktop. So we're looking at this location. We have no idea what's going on. For example, there's these books on the ground. Can we interact with them? Well, let's start moving the cursor around. Oh, you can see some highlight around things. So basically, highlighting is just a way for you guys to know more easily what you can interact with in a location.
So right now you can see a slightly transparent yellow outlining around the character, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
So it also depends on the thing we're highlighting. So for example, certain things, for example, when you're right-clicking something and you see that cyan color, that also reflects onto highlight. If you're talking to an NPC, you see a yellow outline and so on.
So what do these different colors mean? Or
basically, yellow means it's a friendly NPC or someone you can talk to, but not attack.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just someone that we can attack, then, for example, let's find a rabbit, a poor rabbit.
Zoom in a little bit. They're quite small.
Yeah, you can see.
There you go.
There's also a flash when you actually interact with something that's being highlighted at the moment. Just to further highlight that you're actually clicking on something to interact with it, basically.
Mm-hmm. So I see in the chat, I see loads of questions about, will you be able to turn this off?
Yes. This is going to be something that's going to be on mobile as well. And on mobile, we're going to have basically a toggle in the interface for players to turn it on and off. And on both mobile and desktop, you'll also be able to turn it on and off via the graphic settings.
Okay, so yes, we've got that.
Yeah.
Cool. We had the blue one, the red one, and the yellow, right? Blue one is just things you can interact with. The yellow is NPCs, neutral NPCs, and reds are
stuff you can
attack. Cool.
Like these ones.
Which is quite nice.
Yeah.
I saw someone in chat ask about colorblind mode. Are we taking that into account, or?
We've had a couple of discussions regarding it previously, and we've spoken with various UI designers at the time and UX designers, and basically we've chosen these colors simply because even if you suffer from some color blindness, there's still a differentiation in terms of the brightness or glow they actually provide, even if they look similar in tone or hue rather.
So we've mainly looked at trying to find the colours that even if you are colourblind, they're still different shade look, but it's not a true colourblind mode yet,
No.
right?
There's currently a plan to in the future address this as a colorblind mode that will affect the entire game, not just this specific feature. So
we
more
want
general.
So we want to take that in a broader scale and not
Yeah.
just do it for this specific feature. Cool. That's good to check. Let me check as well. So for PC, it's mainly on the clicking, or if you hover over it, you will see it. Are you on mobile? You don't have a mouse or a cursor.
No, we've seen
That
it
is the gift
previously.
we've seen, right?
Yes. If we can go back to the video.
There we go. We're going back to this lovely.
So basically on mobile, since there's no actual cursor, we decided to tie this. So if the player has toggled highlighting on, we tend just highlight things around the radius around the player. So as things come in and out of the player's, I guess, circle of influence or region around them, they get highlighted, and yeah.
Okay.
We still have the same behavior, so if you tap on something, it still pulses.
It still pulses and flashes. That's pretty cool. I wanted to ask. Oh, I kind of forgot the question that I wanted to ask. This is quite terrible. But I'll come on it. It's probably not that important. Oh yeah, no, I figured that. There you go. It's just all the nerves that I obviously have here. So why are we doing this? Is this kind of for like a new player experience, or just something that we feel like it's going to add to the experience?
It's a case of both, really.
Both.
It's, for example, when we start learning a new skill in RuneScape, we often are taken like to new locations into world that we haven't been to before, and it's kind of like, well, I'm not really sure what I can do here. So on PC, you're basically just moving the cursor around, trying to find things in that environment that you can interact with. On mobile, we don't really have that luxury. It's a case of like randomly tapping and guessing that this might be something you can do.
So it helps us to highlight things you can interact with mainly, right? That's the aim. Okay, cool. Shall we then move on to like the second bit, because this ties into it a little bit, right? Which is the Canopy Cut-out, which we also showed briefly at RuneFest.
Yep. So the Canopy Cut-out, as we move under a tree, we can see it fading. Basically, this is meant to more easily let players navigate areas like the Lost Grove, which has some very thick tree canopy foliage. So for example, we can still see our character while we're moving around, even though there's
pretty good.
trees everywhere.
If you stand still for a second, how does that look?
Sorry.
Don't stand in the open. Oh, there you go. Alright, that's pretty good. Is this the same effect that we use in the free cam a little bit?
Yes, it's similar basically.
Okay, I like that.
It's based on the same system, but yeah.
Does this only work for tree foliage or also for other buildings and
At
things?
the moment, it's only affecting tree foliage.
Okay.
But it's something that we may look into future to use for stuff like windows, for example.
Okay. And right now it is on the character, right?
Yes.
Would this, because there are also items or things you can interact with behind trees, would we be considering to put this on like the cursor as well or something?
It's something we've spoken about previously, and we'll still need some research. In terms of user experience, to see if it's confusing or feels odd to have things just randomly disappear around the cursor.
Okay. It is actually quite nice. I really like it.
We try to go for a slightly subtle effect, so there's not a massive region, a massive bubble around the player. There's just a tiny area. You can see what's going on.
Okay, that's really cool. Can you go to like another nice area with trees? I'm just curious how it looks in like.
Let's try.
Does it also
this
work on
area.
or let's go there. Does it also work on the big trees in Anacronia? Because you've got some chunky trees over there as well.
Not at the moment, but those tend to be less obstructive. We're looking
Okay.
into changing it so we can apply it to every single tree in the game, rather than just these ones that we've handpicked as
Okay,
the most
Alright.
impactful for now.
that sounds pretty cool. So my main question is that kind of remains. It's like, this is really cool. I like this. I think it will be very useful for new players in particular, because the majority of us who played, they kind of know where their character is and they know how everything works. For new players, it's just going to be really cool, in my opinion. Can you give us a bit of insight on when we can potentially expect this in game, if that is happening?
Potentially within the next 3 months.
Within the next 3 months. That sounds pretty good to me. Cool. Thank you very much for that. Is there anything else we want to showcase here, or are we happy? Is there something I missed? Because you've worked on this, so I'll let you do the talking.
I think this pretty much covers it.
Cool.
But yeah, hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And I look
can we
forward
zoom in
to
a bit more so we can just, if we get behind the tree. Oh, there you go. So even then, if you use, to be fair, this is kind of when the camera zooms comes in anyways. It's quite nice, but then if we click the tree, you still get the nice highlight as well. Cool. Thank you very much. Then we're going to move on to the next thing. And there we go. I can already see Motnin jumping and sprinting over here. So we're gonna.
Right, what are we doing?
Well, yeah. What are you coming here? So there was something else we showed up at RuneFest, I think.
Yes.
Client prediction.
The end. Yes.
And I
That
believe
is what I'm doing.
I believe you've been chipping away and working on that and things, and you're just going to show how it looks and is right now.
So
We need to switch client briefly, don't we? There you go.
Boop. There we go.
Oh, what a setup!
Forgot to stop log out. All right, so yeah, client prediction is a system designed to eliminate input lag from your player moving around the world.
Yeah. Oh, we're still. Yeah. There we go. Thank you for letting us know that we were still showing the GIF. Our apologies.
Yeah, so client prediction is a system for basically when you're playing RuneScape, you're connected to a server, and whenever you click to do anything in the game, it sends a message to the server. The server has to process that, and then it has to send it all the way back to the client. That takes a long time, and because the speed of RuneScape, it just ends up being slow. So I'll do a little demo. Wow, look, I'm playing RuneScape.
So it's kind of like you're clicking somewhere and it takes a bit before it starts. Actually, right? That's what it is.
You can see. So I've actually enabled these walk markers, which you can find on the mobile client.
You also have them on desktop, right? Or not yet?
Not yet.
Oh,
Not yet.
I want them on desktop so badly.
It's coming.
So this is just for the record. This is with client prediction still off.
It's turned off.
Yes.
And now I'll turn it on, and you'll see that my character is reacting immediately to the clicks that I'm putting in, moving very quickly. It's really good. It feels good. We've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, I tried to introduce my friend to the game," and they're put off by the amount of lag. So we'll hopefully alleviate some of those problems that people are having. Like, we know that the input lag is an issue.
Cool. Is there something like this already in game somewhere, or is this like completely?
So yeah, this isn't an entirely new concept to RuneScape. The bank, for example, actually has some kind of. Oh no, that's my live account.
We're not going to do that.
The bank has some prediction, and so when you're clicking things in and out of your bank, they do happen immediately. So yeah, it does kind of exist to some extent, but this is
very specific cases.
This is a completely different system. Anytime we want to add something like this, it's going to have to be made entirely bespoke for that thing. Okay. Which is a bit annoying.
Cool. So I think this is pretty impressive. What's been the biggest challenge with making this? Like, I'm just going to walk around my way.
Okay. Yeah, go for it. There have been challenges, obviously. So we needed to get some extra data onto the client so that it knows how to path like a server, because the client doesn't actually know enough to do that already. So we've had to transmit all the collision data. We've had to transmit some...
Oh, well, that's a good position.
We're having to give the client a bit more data. That was a relatively small challenge. The bigger one is knowing when the player is and isn't allowed to move. You'd think it wouldn't be that difficult, but it is. In fact, the server doesn't know whether a player is allowed to move until the moment that it moves that player. Any kind of any kind of script, any piece of content can just say, player, stop moving. And the player will have to stop moving, so we don't know.
You showed that the debug on the RuneScape demo. Are you able to enable that here as well?
We are.
I'm just going to put you on the spot. Just enjoy that.
If I go here and turn this on. So this is like version 2.
Ooh.
Or version 3 maybe. So this debug looks a little bit different. Yeah, basically what we're doing is we're saying, hey, I've clicked here. Using the most up-to-date information I've got, I'm going to predict 1 server tick's worth of movement to this point, and see how that, and like follow that. And then later on when the server tells us what actually happened, we can confirm that. We can do a correction if we need to. But most of the time, in most cases, it will just work and your character will go.
So a question from chat is, would this eliminate dead clicks? The answer would be no.
The answer would be no. So dead clicks,
Right.
Dead clicks, I think we've mostly resolved that issue.
Yes.
I think there was an update that went out, I think earlier in January,
Yeah.
which a few people have spent hours and hours and hours looking into, and they should. I mean, I don't know this.
Yeah,
I don't do like super intensive content, so.
No, so to answer that, it's like, right, so this is client prediction, so it is actually predicting where you're going to walk. So
Yeah.
there's still, in the background, there's still this tick happening every
Yeah,
0.6 seconds, right? So,
Your clicks, the whatever the client prediction is doing, we're not changing the behavior of the game at all. We're just guessing what it's going to be, and then
we anticipate on that.
just anticipating what's happening, following it really quickly. But yeah, dead clicks, I'm not sure about. Another problem that we had was animation timing. We don't have any trees here because you dragged me far away from any cuttable trees.
Anachronia.
I'm going to go back to my favorite spot and cut some trees. So, like animation timing's been an issue. So if we click on a tree and we're now making your character appear at a tree like sooner than it should, and we need to make that animation time up, the same with agility courses and things like that. Big pain. So we've had to do some crazy like time estimating and things like that. It's been a really fun project to work on actually. But
and like we're just showing you off walking, right? How does this work properly in like a Talos fight, or if I'm gonna go bossing, is it as smooth as butter as you see it here?
So here is where the caveats come in. A lot of RuneScape is unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know when a boss is going to do an attack. We don't know when your NPC that you're fighting is going to move. We don't know if your opponent in PvP is going to snare you in place. So these caveats do come with it that in a lot of these situations we might have to turn it off.
Okay.
Which we wish we kind of didn't have to do, but there's not much we can do about that. In terms of skilling though, in terms of early game stuff, it works like you see here. So this is kind of a thing that we might want a bit of feedback on.
Mm-hmm.
Is would you be okay with having this most of the time, but when you go into a bossing situation we have to turn it off, or maybe it's something that you can toggle on or off,
Cool.
Depending on your preference.
Someone else in chat asked as well, is like, how does it look if it doesn't do the prediction right? Are you able to trigger that by any chance?
Am I able to trigger that?
Or is it pretty accurate, kind of?
There are definitely a lot of situations where it won't work. I'm just trying to think of a good one.
Is Surge? Does that work quite well with this? Or?
Let's have a look. So I don't actually have it hop down to anything because I'm a noob player.
Don't use. That's like one of the few things that I've actually got keybound.
So it looked kind of okay. I imagine that it will need some specific looking into
work,
to make it work properly.
All right.
But yeah, if it's incorrect and it makes a wrong prediction, it will just kind of pull you back as smooth as it can do.
Yeah. But
yeah.
It is a prediction. Cool.
I'll tell you what I can do is I can do. Let's do like this. So I've essentially halved the speed of the server. Oh, never mind. Don't look at that. Don't look at that.
All right. We'll just leave it at that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Please let us know your feedback on this as well, and how you see this happen.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you very much for that. I'm checking what else we've got on my list now. I'm just enjoying this.
Yeah, I mean,
This is really cool stuff, all right.
Yeah, so basically one of the big focuses of the CXP team has been how can we make the game feel better? How can we make the experience more enjoyable? The core experience, how can we make that more enjoyable? The highlighting stuff is also like one of those things, and I saw like a bit of the chat was being a bit poo-poo about it. The highlighting stuff makes the game feel way better. When you click something and you get that highlight, like your click feels like it means something. So things like that is all good. What else have we got? The walk markers, these as well. So this kind of comes under CXP as well. They already exist. We're making improvements to them before we bring them to desktop. They're going to be really good as well.
They will probably get a toggle still though, right? Just
I'm sure they will.
yeah,
I'm sure they will.
No worries. Cool.
And then the last thing I just wanted to touch on really quickly is, as we've been doing investigations into client prediction, one thing that we found a bit of a problem is server performance. So this is something that players might have noticed on Double XP weekends.
Mm-hmm.
You would have seen it when Old School Mobile launched. The servers actually like slowed down because they couldn't handle the load that was going on. So just as an update, in the background, we are doing some work on server performance to make that better.
Make it occur less often. Hopefully.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool as well.
And it does actually affect the input lag that you get as well. If you're on a server with 1,000 players versus a server with 50 players, there is like a subtle but noticeable difference there. So if you're bossing, and
just look him in the eye.
If you're bossing, get on a low pop world. You'll find it easier.
Okay. Thank you for these wise words as well. Thank you very much, Motnin. Then we're gonna move to the next section. Are you both coming over here as well? That's my question. To talk a bit about mobile, or do you?
Yeah, go on then. We'll come over.
There we go. You don't have to if you really don't want to.
Yeah, Modsage can just chill on his own over here. He's all right.
In the meantime, Modsage, there were a couple of questions about the outlining. A very quick fire. Can we change the colours of them, right, as is?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment, okay.
This ties into the whole colorblind mode, basically.
Yeah.
And it's something that we'd like to expose into the future, but for the time being, we still need to figure out the right way to do it. Because no one wants to be tweaking 6 different colors individually, basically.
Yeah. Will you be able to highlight multiple NPCs at the same time? That does work on mobile, but not on desktop
Yes.
at the moment, right?
Yes, that's
Cool.
correct.
Radius.
Will this have a separate toggle for mobile and desktop? So there might be some people that like to have it enabled on their phone and not on their desktop.
That's something I'd need to look into, basically.
I'm going to look into that.
Yeah.
Cool. And then regarding the cutouts, will it work on buildings? The answer was a no, not for the time being at least.
Not at the moment, no.
Not at the moment. Could we make the cutout bigger if players want to?
Possible, yes.
Possible?
It's a case of like, we need some actual feedback from players to see if it will be beneficial for it.
Mm-hmm. Will the outlines show through the foliage?
No.
They won't. Cool. Thank you very much. Then we're going to move on to mobile. I think you need to scoot in a little bit.
Come on in, bro.
Mod Desert. Yeah,
Come on in.
I'm going to go in this direction.
You move out the way, Porky.
Yeah, I'll just remove myself from this live stream. That's fine. Do I need to bring the other microphone in as well? No?
Yeah.
Oh yes, please do.
We'll just shout really loud.
Yeah, we'll just.
We can do that.
Uh,
I'm sure there's a picture that everyone wanted to see.
Yeah, I know. Great. I hope it's been a good picture for all of you. Cool. So mobile, what's been up with mobile? Are we happy with Android and things, or?
Yeah, I would say so. We're pretty happy with how Android is currently performing. Obviously, we've still got a few compliance issues that we need to work through and make sure that we are fully compliant before we go out onto any stores.
Mm-hmm. So then I see a lot of iOS in the chat. Are we able to?
No, we're not doing iOS anymore.
Okay.
Just have to change. No, we're kidding.
Are we able
Yes.
to show some gameplay or something on the iOS device?
You know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. Right, come on. Let's show a bit of progress. All right.
I don't know. I'm not
They've been asking for long enough. I suppose we should show them
just
a
on
little
the
bit.
camera. You just
All right.
the phone is just not on the camera shot as well.
Oh, is it not? Am I gonna have to move it?
No. It's fine. It's going to be on that camera.
Yeah, I know it is. That's the whole point though. I've got it down here. So this, for some eagle-eyed viewers, is an iPhone 7 Plus.
You can turn it over and it might even say.
It does. I just don't want to turn it over. So this is running our latest build, I think. This will be more or less our latest build, as most of you will see it probably from the Android perspective. Obviously, I'm going to tilt this a little bit towards me so I can see what I'm doing, but you should be able to see everything that I'm doing on the main screen.
It's just so they actually know we're not faking it, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
They can see our hands.
It's not. Yeah, we're not just. I'm just prove a point, right? There we are. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Shattered worlds. Look at that. Lovely. Anyway, so yeah, this is iOS. We're nearly there. Most things are working as we expect them to, as they would on Android.
Can you show some scaling, some bossing or whatever? What you fancy? Bossing is probably not. You're not a good.
I'm not.
Bosser?
No, I'm not.
No, just checking.
If you want to see me die, then fine. But I don't. We've had that before with Mod Shogun, and he got memed out of the building. So I don't want that on my head.
It would be fun. It would be alright.
But yeah, as I said, everything kind of is to a point that I believe is working. There are still some compliance issues which we definitely need to work through, otherwise we will not be allowed on the iOS store. So you got your things like your chat, ignore all the error messaging. That's that's some things we need to fix. There's some work we need to do. But all the menus kind of work. They all go to how we expect them to show.
So it's shaping up quite nicely, from the gameplay perspective, right?
I don't think this character has any stuff to put into. But yeah, as you can see, I'm kind of using everything that kind of works. Everything shows as you're expecting to. Am I really loud? So
you have to move back into the camera a bit. You have to go forward a bit more ashes.
It doesn't matter about me.
Just a tad.
They want to see your hands.
They want to see my hands. What do they want to see my hands doing? They like my hands. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
But anyway. So yeah, most of the stuff, as I showed, kind of works as you'd expect it to. For those of you playing on Android, you've probably already seen most of this.
So it is kind of, it's the same experience as you get on Android, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're aiming for.
Okay.
As I said, there are still some bits and pieces that need tweaking, and there's a few bits that obviously are still not compliant. I'm going to stick to that all the time. I will say that until we go fully live. Is the compliance is our big thing we're working on at the moment, is making sure that we can actually be shown on the iOS store.
So you mentioned compliance a couple of times.
Yeah.
We just, it works. We just want to play it. Why are we doing this compliance thing? Is that
so compliance is a standard that comes across both Android and iOS. It's basically to make sure that you don't have a really bad app. It doesn't do anything really weird. That essentially they're happy that you can display it on their stores,
so we need
and they know it's safe.
We need to follow their rules and guidelines.
Yes, yeah.
In order to be allowed on their store, right?
Yeah, so they have a whole entire set of guidelines that we must adhere to before we can actually go onto their store.
So one of the cases that I find quite interesting is for example, in one of the guidelines it says it's you're not allowed to use computer terminology, if I'm right, or PC terminology.
That's a great one. Is PC terminology? Yeah.
Yes. So that means that every place in game where, for example, we say the word click, it has to be changed to tap or press.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So just as an example of something that can be something that you need to change.
Achievement.
Good job. But aside from the compliance, are there more things that we need to do for it before it's ready to go live, kind of?
So compliance is the main one. We've got to also integrate Apple sign-in.
Yeah,
that's another one. That's another big one that kind of works. Otherwise, you won't be able to use your Apple account with the game as you can with a Google account or a Facebook account.
So that's something we're working on right now?
So that's also something we're working on right now, yeah. We're getting that into the motions and making sure that's all up and running. What else is there?
So this is another one that I've been told that the way the iOS app talks to our backend systems or something is quite different.
That would be a question for probably one of the two on the couch, or
Is
maybe
it?
someone else. It's a very game engine-y. Obviously,
Okay.
me and Desert are we're both content developers. Well, we're technical developers, but we write the content for the game. We help them make all of that. The way that it actually kind of works on a storefront and a client front that talks to essentially the servers and everything else is very much a game engine way. So. Maybe one of those two lovely lads on the sofa might be able to
right.
elaborate. If not, it is one of those things that I think needs to be kind of actioned and made sure that, like I said, we just make sure we don't break any rules that they have set out for us.
Yeah, no, because like I'm mentioning it because when I asked about this, they were like, well, yes, it talks slightly different, and as a result, we also need to make sure that it is as good and as efficient as we want it to be, so it actually gives a very good experience.
Correct.
So that's something else they're working on. So
because the last thing you want is it not talking properly and
Yes.
finding that, hey, all of your dead clicks will come back again, or the client prediction stuff that we plan to release at some point just doesn't work because it's so far ahead and just doesn't return anything. So that sort of stuff.
So that's kind of where we're at mobile. So after we're working on these three things. So like just the compliance, as well as the Apple sign in, as well as the communication bit, which is
just standard kind of back end stuff.
Once we've done these things, so do you know what our plans are going to be with iOS? Is that just
so I'd like to hope that once we get all of this in place, we'll probably end up doing a closed beta, same as what we did with Android. And then once we've kind of got this in play and we know what we're doing with it, we'll obviously open it up
for everyone else.
Really.
Yeah. So in the beta, we check things as like, does the game crash?
We will do
is
standard
it
monitoring
steady
stuff
and performance, and are there other things that we need to think about?
Yeah.
Right? So we just want to check everything before we then bring it to the wider public.
Yeah.
I've also been told that
Rat Slayer.
What did you get?
So I know they're just commenting that I'm killing rats down in Lumbridge.
Good job. A side note, if I've got like,
and I think I got a level. I think that's also what they're probably going to. I did. I got a woodcutting level.
Good
See,
job.
there you go. That's how lovely this community can be. There we go.
If I need to do my daily challenge and I need to go combat, I just go next in birth to the rabbits, just kill 25 rabbits, get the challenge done, and get the XP. That's my advice here.
It's just slightly lazy.
Anyways, back to mobile.
Yeah.
The next question, of course, would be like, do we have a timeline for this? But I believe there's no clear
one.
Right?
Yeah, I think we've got some in mind, but it's making sure that we can be compliant and all the other stuff like the sign in and everything else is on track for a certain date. Obviously, I don't want to give anything away because if we don't hit that, then my head will probably roll because I've released the date with. So yeah,
cool. Yeah, so once we know more information on this. Of course, we're going to share it with all of you.
Yeah, of course.
We're going to make that work.
Obviously, yeah, like you guys have been asking for it for a while. We have been working in the background, as you can see. We do. I kind of want. We have said that we will release this year. That has already been said, so it should come. Some point. So we are working to a date some point this year, but what date that is yet is still to be determined.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. Then I believe Malt Desert has a small bit to show on this as well.
I've two small mobile features.
These are you can
scooch back out of the way.
Move a bit.
So
we're going to make
a
it
bit of room.
So we're gonna show a small bit of things that we've been working on mobile to make it like a nicer experience and everything, right?
Yeah.
Just a quick question on mobile. I forgot that we do this.
You've got
as well.
questions.
I've got
I thought we answered a load already.
Well, we've answered quite a few. Will it work on an iPad?
Yes.
But it's not. This is like so it does work, but the UI is not.
Yeah, we've primarily built the UI to work in a 16:9 format, which works perfectly for phones because we work it in a landscape version. So if your sort of tablet and stuff doesn't support a good 16:9 ratio when it's in a landscape mode, it might not work so well. It is something that we are working on though, with a bit of sort of scaling and different ways that we build our interfaces and stuff in game, so that we can hopefully alleviate that problem when it comes to the sort of 4:3 and slightly more narrower screens.
So it will most likely just work on those iPad, but it might not look as fancy as it could do on a phone. Right? That's kind of where we're going at. It's the same with like you can also play it on certain tablets on Android, right?
So the difference between obviously like that and a phone is it's going to be quite hard.
We'll just
we'll unplug the screen. Yeah, kill the screen. So this is a slightly bigger screen on the other side compared to the phone size.
It has much more height, right?
Yeah, trying to work those between the two is always fun. So.
Cool. If we,
Sorry, you might need that.
I thought you were going to switch to that anyway. Oh, you need to phone as well. I'm sorry for ruining this. I was just excited. Cool. All right, take it away, Bulldozer. Do you want to move that one over there?
Questions later.
Or in a second.
We don't need to see this. This is purely here to make it look like I have friends.
Are we not your friends?
And then it doesn't work properly. Oh, well, okay. So, one of the problems we have with mobile is screen space. As it's smaller than a monitor, there's less screen space to go around. So we need to try and optimize what we have there. So it's sort of the reason why we can get rid of the mini-map on mobile, whereas you can't PC, so you can have more of the game screen. One area we have a bit of a problem with is the chat box, as a lot of messages in the game come through the chat box.
Yeah.
And if you're using it socially to talk with friends and so on and so forth, then you will always have that in the corner, sort of obscuring what else you're doing. So we've got two things which are looking to try and alleviate some of those problems. The first one is a system called internal notes. So you may recall, well, actually I don't. There we go. So if you have a... sorry.
Don't need to see that phone's view, it's alright.
You may have just noticed that a number 1 has popped up over the messages.
No, it's not. It is. Yeah.
You just got a light in your way, you can't see.
No,
there's obstructions.
So one thing we've added is that if your chat is hidden and you receive private messages, it will keep track of them and it will keep on updating that, so you can see you've missed a message from someone presumably important to you. And then you go there and now you can see them. Woo. Yes, that was my default test string.
Of course it is. It's the best. Here we go.
Oh, set time. Press F to pay respect.
Oh dear.
That's all right. You're still good. So my question here is this only going to work for private chats and those, or could it also work, for example, if you get if a friend gets like a Hazelme ring?
At the moment, it is strictly private chat messages.
Okay.
However, it is expandable to add anything which shows up in chat we could conceivably add to this list. However, for now, it is just private messages.
Okay.
While making this, we expanded it a bit so that you could also have... So, our game has menus. Mm-hmm. It has menus within menus, and menus within menus within menus. And this is a bit of a problem for new players, as you want to sort of lead them through the menus to the things they want to see. And while doing this, we looked into adding this dot for chat to other things. So in the build here, we have it for chat, and we have it for daily challenges. So whenever you get a message in your chat box saying, hey, you've got a new daily challenge, or you haven't got any because you've blocked them all, it would...
Or completed all of them.
Or completed all of them, potentially. It will add a dot to this home button, and then you go there, and then you can see it's got another one on adventures, so you can follow through to there, and it had a dot on the challenges, and then when you switch that tab, it disappears. So it's the start of a system for if we need to tutorialize menus.
Okay.
It's currently only on mobile. I designed it to be cross-platform, but we decided to scale it back to just mobile. So if in the future we decide we want to add a red dot to the chat tabs on PC, we could one day do that.
Let us know what your thoughts are on these things, I'd say, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there.
Okay.
And you're exactly out of camera as well. You're here hiding
It's like
behind.
it's like I did that on purpose.
I know.
So I
It's
know
a bit
exactly
sad.
how this setup works.
Oh, you're an expert. It's pretty cool as well.
Cool. Okay, so I've got a slightly more flashy one, but I need to just switch worlds for that.
Ooh, I'll take your time.
Oh, God.
Let's say, we got any more questions we can fill in while
How
this going
does
on?
iOS work? Oh dear. Okay, that will take a moment.
let's see what we got. So, a couple of questions already. Let's see what we got. Will beta be free to play? Probably not. We'll probably end up doing the same as what we did with Android, which was a members only.
To me, it makes sense, but I don't know if there's been any...
Members perks. Put it in. I think probably the best way of putting it on that one.
This is you did.
What?
Get on camera.
Do I want to be on camera? I don't know.
There you go. Welcome.
You just want to hear my voice. That's probably the better one, right? They don't care about seeing me. They just want to hear me answering these questions.
Radio's better than the TV
Keep going.
anyway.
You have to go faster.
That's all right. He's taking his time to log into this one, so that's right. Can we expect iOS at the same time as Android? That is a very good question. I would like to hope so when we go to full commercial launch. They would both launch together. I don't see us splitting them unless we have some real major problems. What iOS operating system is needed? I don't actually know how far back that goes. I'd have to find out. We primarily run sort of the latest and maybe one or two back just for checking of compliance. But I need to see how far back we actually go for testing purposes on that one. Can we use vertical mode to type in the chat? No. Something we might look into in the future.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not just going to leave it there. we did look at potentially allowing that as a thing, but it just wasn't working correctly.
Yeah.
The game was designed when it came to mobile to work in a landscape, so we'd have to do a bit more work and a bit more investigation to make it work in a portrait mode. It might be something that we can do, but it won't be until at least we've gone into full commercial launch before we even look at anything to do with that sort of stuff.
Cool. I see quite a few questions about if we're gonna fix the disruption shield with Virago. I'll happily poke the team, but I personally...
It's not us to answer that question,
yes,
I'm afraid.
it's like we'll make sure to
team,
feedback
yeah.
it, but I mean, we'd like to fix any bug.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, we don't
just
like
need
letting
to-
things linger, but obviously it's time that QA need to test it as well as the potential fix that needs
Yes.
to be done to fix it.
So we're gonna give a couple of people a poke, see where it's at, and we know a lot of you guys like to see it fixed. Let's just be simple about it.
But I'm gonna slide
I
back
know
out
you've
again.
been very fast and you've finally managed to log in. So let's go. It better be good.
Okay.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure here.
Can it beat a red dot? Okay. So, as mentioned previously, chat is big and it gets in the way. However, it gives you important information, so you don't always want to leave it in this hidden mode. So, at the moment, you have your full screen, your large box, your small box, and your no box. So, if we go into here, we have our small screen, which just faded in, which is a taste of things to come because it just fades away when it doesn't receive any messages. And now, when we send it a message, it fades back in, and so on. This works with any message which goes to the chat box. So you have it in this mode. You don't receive many messages for about 10 seconds. It hides itself. And then you receive one and it reappears.
That is... I know this is like a very difficult thing, I believe, to make happen. Even though it looks like such a small thing, and I think it's just amazing. And like, if you look at the responses in the chat as well, it's like
It's magic.
It's pretty cool. It is like pretty good. Like I would definitely turn that on because I'm always a bit like I want to read the chat, but at the same time I do not always want to pay attention. And this is like great for that. So yeah, that's definitely more exciting than the red dot. Definitely worth the wait. Yeah, thank you very much. There is someone is typing a question from the chat, so we can potentially read it. I'm putting the pressure on the person who's writing the questions right now. You have to be fast. Niku, come on, you got this. You have to be faster.
Copy paste. Stop typing.
Can the disappearing chat notifications come to desktop as well? Like, could we, for example, put something like that out on desktop?
Yeah.
Ooh, we don't know. If that's the answer, that's fine too.
It's trickier. As with this one, we have a single chat box, and that's easy enough to deal with. But on desktop, we're going to have a chat box with potentially a number of tabs for different things, and that makes it a lot more tricky to deal with.
So each of those tabs, so for your clan chat, friends chat, all those local chat, all those are like separate chat boxes kind of displayed on desktop, whereas we've done some wizardry, so it on mobile is just one.
Everything appears in one.
Pretty cool.
Also, you have a lot more room on a desktop compared to what you do on a mobile. So why would you sort of want that? I guess is another question.
Because it looks pretty.
I'm not denying it doesn't look pretty. I'm just saying you've got more room.
Cool. Niku just wrote something very angry at me in the chat, so we're just not going to read that.
Hurry
out.
up!
It includes a couple.
We're running over
yeah,
time.
It includes a couple of swear words, so that's fine. We still love you, Niku. Cool. Shall we go back to the couch so we can do a finish and a roundup? And we've got everyone on the couch because they're still there.
Quick!
Gonna run back, and there we go. We've already got one person. You know,
It's on his own. Just leave him on his
you're not
own.
going to join us on the couch anymore on what stage?
He's being
Nice.
Being generous.
There you go. Oh. Ooh, I just dropped the tablet almost.
Don't do that.
Nah. Probably shouldn't.
Back up.
Yeah, I'll be ready.
There we go.
Cool. So that's like a pretty good overview of everything we've had in core experience, which I think is pretty cool.
Yep.
So we talked a bit about the Canopy Cut-out and the outlining silhouetting. We'll be able to see that in the next 3 months.
Yes, we'll also be releasing a blog post within the next few weeks that will detail a bit
We're also going to talk
further
about that. So to give a bit of insight into also how it works,
how
and
it
how
works
it's
technically,
been made, right?
and some more of how it looks basically in action.
Cool. Talked a bit about client-side prediction.
Yeah.
Whoop whoop. And then of course mobile and a bit of an insight into iOS and what we are doing with iOS right now.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Next week we are going to be back and talk about archaeology.
It's getting close.
It's getting closer. We're going to talk more and more about archaeology as time goes. So definitely look forward to that. If you've got any questions about the stuff they do, I think all 4 of you are active on Twitter?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Just me and Ashley.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on Twitter.
What Ashes and what Lynn are on Twitter. So if you've got a question, make sure to tag them as well. I would also like to thank you, Mort Desert and Mort Sage, for joining us today as well. And then we're going to see you all next time. Now we have to, just because not everyone knows this, so we're going to say a weird Dutch word.
No, you're going to say
I'm
it.
gonna say-
And we're going to butcher
I'm
it.
going to say a weird Dutch word. You guys are going to butcher it. Feel free to repeat it or go for your own word. And then we'll see you all next week again, all right? So, tot ziens. Appeltaart.
Apple tart.
Bye-bye, everyone.